sills, and much more besides. The 3500 set new standards in every aspect of motor engineering. The result was a vehicle that was good-looking, practical, fast, economical, comfortable, spacious, refined, and above all safe. It's no wonder it became the overnight success that it did. In its first year of production, the Rover 3500 has carried off practically every major award that it's possible for the motoring fraternity to bestow. It was voted Car of the Year by the correspondents of Europe's motoring press. The Automobile Association presented the prestigious gold medal. It won the Don Trophy for its contribution to vehicle safety. And 100 of the world's top automotive experts awarded it their coveted prize for outstanding vehicle styling. Even Motor and Autocar, the two British car magazines who have a habit of saying exactly what they think about every aspect of every new vehicle, well, after exhaustive testing, they have each heaped praise on the new Rover and awarded some of the highest ratings possible. But winning awards and unstinting praise from the professionals is one thing. It's the customers the car was designed for that really count. After all, they're the people who buy them. Now, the luxury large car sector of the UK market may be fairly small in terms of volume, but it's probably the most lucrative in terms of profit. When the 3500 was first launched, it went straight for the throat of the really top-class opposition, people like Mercedes, BMW, and because of the recently introduced 604, Peugeot as well. But if you look at the rest of the luxury car sector, there's a group of manufacturers who, so far, have been left pretty well out of the firing line. I'm talking about people like Renault and Citroën, Ford, Audi, Saab, and Volvo. Until now, Leyland didn't have a range of models to compete directly with the products these other people were putting onto the market. But from now on, everything's changed. With the introduction of the Rover 2300 and the 2600, Leyland now have a range that stretches right the way through the luxury large car market from top to bottom. So what have the two models got to offer? Well, first, as you can see, differences between the models have been kept to a minimum. Still the same good looks, the same high-quality finish, the same protection against rust and corrosion. In fact, apart from different wheel trims on each model and different rear badging, the two new models look exactly the same as the 3500 as you already know it. And that's a valuable feature for those potential customers who may well have fallen in love with the 3500 but could never justify spending quite that amount of money. Right, what about the inside? Well, let's take the 2300 first. Now, although you could describe this model as the bottom of the range, that really wouldn't do the car justice. In fact, a surprising feature of both the two new models is the remarkable amount of luxury and refinement that's been carried through from the top of the range. The fully reclining front seats, complete with headrests, are faced in a pleated crop nylon. The seat belts are concealed and anchored to the seat frame, and the rear seats, which contain the fold-away armrest for added passenger comfort, fold down to provide a large load space protected by a durable rubber covering. There's a high standard of interior trim with a brushed nylon headlining, and the whole of the passenger compartment is fully carpeted. Other popular features that have been carried through from the 3500 are side window demisters, heating for the rear compartment, a steering column that's fully adjustable for reach and rake, a driver's door mirror adjustable from the inside, and what has now become a standard requirement of the modern motorist, a push-button radio. Altogether, in fact, it's a really remarkable package of features that represents real customer benefits and outstanding value for money. Now, as you would expect, the 2600 is similar in many ways to the other two cars, but compared with the 2300, and in keeping with its position in the middle of the range, it has several added refinements. The classic layout of the interior is similar to the 3500. Seat facings are in box-beaded crop nylon and matched by door armrests to complete the feeling of unstinted comfort. The high-quality fitted carpet is continued right the way through into the load space area, and for the driver, there is additional instrumentation, including a tachometer, an oil pressure gauge, a more comprehensive system of warning lights, and the inclusion of an intermittent wipe to keep the windscreen clear in light drizzle. Another safety feature is an additional mirror on the passenger door, which again can be adjusted from inside the car. There are other minor improvements, such as lamps to illuminate the glove boxes and a map reading light. Altogether then, an appreciable number of interior improvements in keeping with the overall objective of creating the right balance of features in each car in the range. Mechanically, the 2600 benefits from the same 5-speed gearbox and the same self-leveling rear suspension as its bigger brother. But as with the 2300, the major difference is, of course, the introduction of a new power unit. But before we go on to talk in detail about those new engines, let me just draw your attention to one or two new features that have been added to the 3500 to make it even more distinctive and attractive. As you must be aware, its level of specification has already made it stand out from the competition. Now, to upgrade it even further, all new 3500s will have electrically operated windows, a passenger door mirror, and a combined radio and stereo cassette player as standard equipment. In fact, as a luxury vehicle, you could say that the latest 3500s have got just about everything. Right, so far I've only mentioned the general differences throughout the new 3-car Rover range. But what about that new engine? Well, here it is in all its section beauty. Now, in spite of the fact that it comes in 2 different capacities, they are fundamentally so similar that I can point out all the principal features using just this one cutaway model. To begin with, these units are the first totally new engines developed by Leyland Cars since its formation. The objective of Leyland's engineers was clear: develop an engine around 5 basic parameters. 1, powerful and flexible performance. 2, superior fuel economy. 3, reliability and durability. 4, easy and minimum servicing. And 5, a degree of mechanical refinement to match this class of car. Now, all these aims have not only been met, but actually surpassed. You'll find that both engines look alike because, apart from crankshafts, pistons, and carburetor details, they're built from exactly the same components. The benefits of that decision are greater production efficiency, a smaller number of parts to stock, and quicker, easier servicing. But what about that performance? Let's go into a bit more detail. Well, both engines have 6 cylinders in line to give smooth, vibration-free power right the way through the range, whether you're messing about in town or cruising down the motorway. To ensure long engine life, the crankshaft is induction hardened. It has large diameter journals and runs in 4 main bearings, 1, 2, 3, 4, to reduce friction, with obvious benefits in terms of economy and performance. At the top end, the cylinder head, cast in aluminium, incorporates a simple and compact valve operation, similar to that used in the award-winning Dolomite Sprint engine. And by using this ingenious single overhead camshaft system with its finger rockers, it's possible to mount the inlet and the exhaust valves opposite each other to give an excellent cross-flow of gases inside the cylinder. For the first time on a Leyland car, the camshaft is driven by a toothed rubber drive bolt, which is not only quieter at speed, but it's free from all those tension problems. And the viscous coupled fan not only reduces noise at speed, but again improves economy. Both engines have twin capstat carburetors, together with an air temperature control unit, which, apart from efficient and economical fuel usage, means that the engine can reach its normal operating temperature much more quickly. And on top of all that, the provision of a diagnostic service plug down here allows engine timing to be checked in a matter of moments. Really not bad, is it? And there I've outlined only the major benefits of the new 2300 and 2600 power units. They may be simple, true, but they're also everything every car owner ever wished for. They're powerful, economical, reliable, durable, and as smooth as silk. When I tell you that on the 2300, Leyland engineers are currently returning 34 miles to the gallon at a steady 50 and reaching 114 miles an hour. And on the 2600, they're getting from 0 to 60 in 10.7 seconds, reaching 119 miles an hour, and yet still returning 35 miles to the gallon at a steady 50. You'll appreciate exactly what the design teams have achieved. These engines, well, they're superb. There's really no other word for it. But what does all this specification mean? Well, for a start, it means that Leyland now has an outstanding 3-car Rover range, highly desirable and highly competitive in the richest sector of the UK car market. Furthermore, it means massive potential sales, as long as you take real advantage of the situation. As I've already said, the 2 new Rover models have opened up all that part of the market sector that fell below the impact of the 3500. But what kind of customers should be the salesman's target? Well, over half the business should come from transfer sales. Undoubtedly, both current Rover and Triumph owners can provide a sound base on which you can build up other business. But don't take them for granted, and always be prepared to overcome the odd pockets of resistance to the new styling concept. Next, there's conquest sales. As you know, there are a lot of good cars around from other manufacturers, and it would be unwise, to say the least, to underestimate them. But the new Rover range is so well specified and represents such good value for money that a Leyland salesman begins with a great advantage. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. Now, we know that the Rover 3500 competes with the cream of the luxury large car market, Mercedes, BMW, and so on. But what about the 2300? Well, the most obvious competitors are probably the Audi 100 LS, Saab's 99 GL, and Volvo's 244 DL, all very good cars until you start getting down to the details. Let's just compare the Rover 2300 with the Volvo, the biggest seller in this area of the market. Now, any self-respecting Volvo salesman will tell you that the main reasons why people buy his product are because they're reliable and because they're safe. It's obvious, isn't it, that they're not sold because of their looks. He'll sell his customers the benefits of reliability coming from a rugged all-steel body that's been totally immersed in primer paint, pressure-ventilated sills, full underbody protection, and aluminized exhaust system, all to prevent rust and corrosion. Built to last a lifetime, he'll say. No other car like it in the world. But he's wrong, because all the models in the new Rover range have exactly the same benefits. But a potential Rover customer won't know that unless someone tells him. Then the Volvo guy will go on about safety. A body structure designed to crush progressively in an accident, leaving the passenger compartment intact. A dual-circuit braking system, a collapsible steering column, a laminated windscreen, and all the other safety features. But again, this Rover's got all those features plus a triplex 1020 windscreen. Then there are all the other safety benefits the 244 hasn't got. Rear fog guard lamps, seat-mounted safety belts, a door mirror adjustable from the inside, and the option of the de novo safety tyre. Once again, it's up to you to get this information across, because no one else will do it for you. Now, what about the 2600? Well, it will be up against competitors like the new Ford Granada, Citroen's CX 2400, and Renault's 30TS. Once again, all very good cars as far as they go. Let's take the Renault as an example this time. Now, the man in the Renault showroom will tell you the reason why his car is so successful is because his customers are looking for style, comfort, and plenty of luggage space. He'll begin by drooling over the looks of the car, and let's face it, it is quite a smart vehicle. Then he'll probably go on about the fantastic amount of space and comfort for 5 people and the benefits of the hatchback door to provide unrivaled stowage space. Although he probably won't mention how awkward it is to fold down the rear seat or how difficult it is to get anything like a flat load space floor. And what he tends not to mention either is that the 30TS is the first quality car Renault has produced in years, whereas Rover have had a reputation for luxury motoring, well, ever since people were running in front of cars with a red flag. When it comes to luxury, Renault has got a lot to learn. And apart from the Rover's superior standard of refinement, look at all the other extras that Renault haven't come up with. An adjustable steering column, a 5-speed gearbox, self-leveling suspension, push-button radio, a fully carpeted load space, and the comfort of cloth seats as standard. When a salesman makes comparisons like that, Renault begins to look pretty bleak. So what it all boils down to is that car for car, the new Rover range takes a hell of a lot of beating in terms of performance, comfort, safety, ride and handling, and above all in terms of quality and refinement. If only they could speak, they could sell themselves. But until they can, it's up to you. So when it comes to conquest sales, the opposition is wide open. And finally, there's the fleet market. I only have to mention that since the launch of the new Rover 3500, somewhere around 85%, that's 85% of total sales of this model, have been taken up by the executive fleet market for you to appreciate the massive fleet sales potential of these new models. Now, in the past, Ford have dominated this market because they already had a range that covered most of the sector, and they made full use of it. The new 3-car Rover range is tailor-made to hit them where it hurts most. Once again, success depends on Leyland's salesmen taking an aggressive attitude to win fleet sales from traditional Ford users. Now, that may sound a tall order, but recent market research has shown that a large proportion of Granada owners are more than enthusiastic about the Rover 3500, and that's more than half the battle. With Supercover as an added incentive to potential fleet purchasers, the Rover range can win its rightful share of the fleet market and put Ford back where it belongs. Right, let's go for a recap of the main points. 1. With the introduction of the 2300 and the 2600, Leyland now has a highly competitive Rover range that covers the whole of the luxury car market. 2, providing you don't take them for granted, there's a large group of current Rover and Triumph owners you can win over to provide a good sales platform for further expansion. 3, in very many respects, the product features of competitors' vehicles don't stand comparison with the new Rover range. And used to advantage by good salesmen, this knowledge can result in big conquest sales. And 4, for the first time, Leyland has the ideal range to break Ford's dominance in the executive fleet sales market. It all sounds fine, but it all depends on you, the Leyland salesman. Providing you know your product, translate specification into customer benefits that people can understand, and sell aggressively, the new Rover range will achieve the sales success it deserves. It's a great range in the new tradition.
...1981 had been a season of success for Austin Rover in motor racing. The new Unipart Metro Challenge had proved popular with competitors and spectators alike. The tightly bunched racing, strongly reminiscent of the best from the Mini era. A Rover V8 had won the top capacity class at the RAC British Saloon Car Championship, while the Austin Metro, still in only its first year of competition, had won the prestigious manufacturer's title in the same championship, against strong competition from rival marques. Austin Rover were determined to win again in 1982. The Rover and Metro racing programs were continued under the direction of BL Motorsport, while development work was started on the new long-distance Rally Rover, which was to make a startling debut in the spring. BL Cars Motorsport director John Davenport and team driver Jeff Allen were confident at the start of the season, as was BL Motorsport engineering liaison manager David Wood.
First year, of course, we were learning quite a lot about the car. We made it work very quickly, and last year it started winning on a regular basis, and this year we hope to do even better.
Jeff Allen, of course, has driven for us right from the start, back in 1980 when we first started with the Rover.
He was really warming to the car by the end of last season and has a tremendous amount of confidence for this year. I think we'll see great things from him.
Last year was very good, 3 wins on the row at the end of the season there, so put me in a good position to start this year in the same way. New sponsors, same car, same team, everything looking very good.
New sponsors for 1982 are Sanyo, and the Rovers appear at a wet Silverstone in a striking new blue livery.
The car's fairly good in the wet conditions, but today it's neither one thing or the other. There's a dry line appearing on the circuit, and it looks like intermediate tyres are going to be the tyre to use, but the Rover does handle fairly well with those tyres on. But we've got the situation where the Capris have gone very, very quick. Gordon Spice and Andy Rouse are the 2 main threats with the Capris. There's a problem that they're going to choose, I think, different tyres. One's going to be on intermediates, one's going to be on slicks, and maybe one of those cars is going to have the right tyres on and give us some trouble.
I've just got a weather forecast, and they say it could be rain or dry, so it's very difficult. If it's wet, the Rover's obviously got a distinct advantage being a heavier car. But if it's
intermediates or dry, then we're in with a good chance.
I don't think it's in anybody's favour in the wet. I think everybody just goes a wee bit slower and a bit more careful. It really depends on our mechanics setting the cars up even more precisely, because you don't have too many chances in the wet. You've got to have your tyres right and your suspension right.
The decision on tyres will obviously be a difficult one. Davenport again.
The big problem is that when it's slightly damp out there, you don't really know whether to opt for a slick racing tyre or whether to put on a wet. In other words, whether it's going to get drier or wetter during the race. So it's a little bit of a gamble.
To improve his chances in the crucial gamble with tyres, Jeff goes to take a closer look at the track surface at the chicane.
38.93 seconds. The speed of
Jeff, tyres, choice of tyres, it's got a dry line. Eddie? All right, slicks.
Yeah? Right, OK, we'll put yours on slicks then.
All the front under slicks.
What have you decided on, Jeff?
It's back on the slicks. All the front runners are on slicks, and there's a dry line, so there's, I can be at a disadvantage now by running the intermediates. Though I still think maybe the best tyre in the early laps. But if all the front runners are on the slicks, I've got to go with them, because at the end of the race they will be the quickest. Let's just hope the rains keep off.
So the Tom Walkinshaw Racing mechanics make the vital last-minute change from treaded wets to slick dry tyres. The main competition was likely to be Esso Capri driver Vince Woodman.
I'm on the front row of the grid here, between a Rover sandwich, so therefore I think that Gordon and Andy are very close. I think that's, yes, it's going to be quite interesting.
Once into that first Silverstone race, the major threat to Jeff was indeed Woodman's Capri. Jeff had started from pole position with the Capri alongside, and Vince hounded the Rover around the rain-soaked circuit in the first of a season-long series of wheel-to-wheel battles that kept spectators on their toes at circuits up and down the country. As Jeff and Vince swapped the lead back and forth, records fell. The Rover claiming victory in half the qualifying rounds and setting lap records at 4 circuits. Records that will stand forever, as major changes for the 1983 season will mean the end of the British saloon car regulations and the start of a new, standardised worldwide specification. The Racing Rover started the season as it had ended the last, taking the checkered flag first ahead of the Capris. Meanwhile, work had already started on an exciting new car, the Rally Rover. BL Motorsport had kept this development project a well-guarded secret until former BL Motorsport Works rally driver Tony Pond gave the car a sensational debut on the televised rally sprint in May. On one of the most demanding rally stages in Wales, Escadabid, Pond was third fastest on the uphill run and could have finished second to the all-conquering Audi Quattro, but for a seized third gear on the downhill run. This dramatically spectacular car is being developed for long-distance rallying, but its ability in a sprint event had been proved beyond doubt. While the loose surface potential of the Rover was being developed, the Racing Rover program continued apace.